Hello there, welcome to Bryan Lomax Movie Talk. We're moving into Oscar season. The nominations have recently been announced. And as has kind of become a bit of a tradition on my channel, I like to rank the Best Picture nominations. We've got 9 nominees this year. I have finally seen them all. And I'm going to rank them from worst to best. I say worst like that because all of these films I actually really like. So, you know, before anyone spits the dummy out about my bottom choices or anything like that, and how can you put them at the bottom? I like all of these films. The lowest score I gave any of these films was a 4-star rating. So, yeah, it's just about what is my favourite. Which ones am I going to watch again? Which ones maybe not so much? But yeah, I do like them all. So, 9 films. Here's how I would rank them. At number 9, it's JoJo Rabbit. Yes, I liked this film, as I say. I think it was very well written. I think that it balances the comedy with the more serious elements very, very well. Something that's very hard to do. So you have moments that really show you about the reality and the horror of war, while still being able to flip back to the more humorous side of it and kind of mocking it, playing with those elements. And I think what Taika Waititi does is merge them together very well and give us a really heartfelt depiction of war from a child's eye view, I guess. I think Thomasin McKenzie is very good in this. I think she was more deserving, I would say, of a Best Supporting Actress Oscar over Scarlett Johansson. That's nothing against Johansson as a performer, because I think she deserves her nomination for Best Lead Actor or Actress in Marriage Story. But yeah, for the sake of this film, I didn't personally feel like she brought anything that was spectacular, that separated her from the crowd. Whereas Mackenzie, I thought, I don't know, I felt she just lent more to the screen in the time she was given. But yeah, no, it's a good film. It's funny. Not all the humour works for me. Some of it gets a little too childish, a little too obvious, I guess. A little too easy. Whereas other jokes work a lot better. But yeah, it's, like I say, really good, solid film. It's just out of this list, it is the one that I feel less inclined to revisit, I guess, at this present moment in time. At number 8 for me, my number 8 and 7 choices were really hard to kind of, I didn't know which one was going to go where, but for the sake of this video now, I've settled on my number 8 choice, being Ford v Ferrari. I liked this quite a lot. Mostly for Christian Bale. Christian Bale's performance in this is one of my favourites of the year. I don't think it's like the most outstanding performance. I just think that what he brings to it is a lot of levity, a lot of humour. I liked watching him whenever he was on screen. I didn't know what he was going to do, you know, how he was going to react to other characters. And yeah, I feel like Bale was having quite a ball with this role. So yeah, and the film's it's really heartfelt. It's maybe a little bit overly sentimental at times, and there's like a clunky scene in which Bale's character is talking to his son about the perfect lap, and it just feels a bit like, yeah, very, very scripted. But beyond that, it's got some brilliant kind of like racing scenes that are really well orchestrated, some excellent sound design, and I loved the characters, particularly the interplay between Matt Damon's character and Christian Bale's character. I wanted to see more of them interacting. So yeah, I left the film feeling a little glow inside afterwards, despite some things that happen, which I won't get into for anyone who's not seen it or doesn't know the story. But yeah, there you go. Ford v Ferrari at number 8. At number 7, and this is probably going to be the most controversial choice for most film fanatics out there, it's Parasite. Now, this film has just recently taken the highest score for any movie on Letterboxd. Okay, so that means that according to Letterboxd peeps, this film is better than The Godfather, it's better than Shawshank Redemption, it's better than The Dark Knight, Pulp Fiction, all those, all those great classic movies you can think of. This film, according to audiences, according to voters on Letterboxd, is better than any of them. It has the highest score on Letterboxd. Now, I went into this film with that knowledge in mind. So yeah, talk about hype. Does it live up to the hype? No, it doesn't. It's not that great, but it is a really, really good film. It's very well made, very well directed, brilliantly written. Little bit too pessimistic for my liking. It takes a look at the class system and the way that the rich will always stay rich, the poor will always stay poor, and it's the system itself that kind of keeps us that way. But one of the problems for me is the moral kind of core, or the lack thereof, of the central characters. And I don't know, it's troublesome for me, because the message of the film gets tangled up with the fact that actually the poor people are kind of, a bunch of degenerates, really. And they, I feel, I don't know, I feel like the film wants us to sympathise with them in some way, and I do pity them, but it's more because they're sad and pathetic rather than, because, the systems are keeping them down. I feel like their own actions kind of keep them where they are in many ways. So, it's not the most sympathetic look at the lower classes and how they've kind of remained there, why they stay there and whatnot, if you get what I mean. So it's a bit too pessimistic, as I say, for me. Now, if it was about the system and we saw a family that actually are trying hard, trying to do the best, trying to do things right, but they never get anywhere because that system keeps them down, then I feel like the message of the film would win me over more. I would be more on board with it, whereas because of the way that it plays out, I kind of feel like actually, you lie in the bed that you make, and these people have to lie in the bed that they make. So, hope that makes sense. But it's still a brilliantly executed film. The vision of the director is definitely on screen for us to see. You know where he's coming from. You know what he's trying to say. I do like films that are bookended, where we start off somewhere and we finish roughly in the same place. So good film, very good film. Just not quite deserving of the best film ever on Letterboxd. And number 6 for me is Little Women. I think Greta Gerwig does a really good job of adapting this famous story, a story I've never actually seen before. I've never seen any other film version, I've never read the original novel, so this was a very new experience for me. All I knew about Little Women was what I heard in an episode of Friends when Joey has to, he does a book swap with Rachel, and and I remember him talking. I remember him getting worried that one of the characters was going to die. So that kind of gave the game away in some respect when I was watching the film. But beyond that, I didn't know anything going in. And watching it, I just got caught up with the characters. I got engrossed in their stories. I was rooting for them, even the ones that maybe had a few morally dubious aspects to their personalities. I was still rooting for them because of, again, it's all in the script and in the performances by the actors. Everyone does a top-notch job of really making you root for these characters. Saoirse Ronan gives an outstanding performance, as I've pretty much come to expect from her. I've been a fan of hers ever since Atonement, which was a brilliant film as well. And I've followed her career since. She's one of my favourite actors working today. She brings it here, brings her A game, really great film. And it deserves any nominations it gets over the awards season. Number 5 is Quentin Tarantino's latest film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Brilliant performances all round, must be said. This is a film that I came out of and I thought it was very good. But I didn't know. I didn't really think it was Tarantino's best. But it stuck with me. It was one of those films that over the course of the next few days, having watched it, I just kept thinking about it. And it lingered. It made an impression. It dug deep. And I grew to love it all the more. And I do think actually at this point it is one of his best. It is a film that has something to say. It's a love letter to Hollywood. It's a love letter to what might have been the career that it speaks to any young actor or young actress going into Hollywood and having the dreams of where their career might go and this, that, and the other. And obviously this being a film that focuses on the story of Sharon Tate, who was murdered by the Manson family. As we follow her through this film, you know what's coming, and it fills you with dread throughout. So yeah, the stuff that Tarantino does with the plot, where he goes, it did some stuff to me emotionally, is all I'll say. It's a perfect love letter to Hollywood and the people that make movies, I guess. DiCaprio gives an excellent performance, deserves Oscar nom, I think. Brad Pitt too, really great. I love his role. He's very funny. He's a character I just wanted to spend time with. The more Pitt was on screen, the happier I was, just because he made me laugh. I know a lot of people are really strung out by the fact that we have a scene in which he decks Bruce Lee, but it was amusing to me, and it was a perfect way of setting up just how badass of a character he is. You know, if you want to show that your character is a badass, put him against Bruce Lee and make him win. You know, that says everything it needs to say. It's a joke. It's light-hearted. You know, let's just not take it so seriously. But yeah. Great film, really good stuff, and actually one of my favourite Tarantino films at this present moment in time. At number 4 for me is Marriage Story from writer-director Noah Baumbach. The first film I saw of his was The Squid and the Whale, which I really loved at the time. I've seen a couple of his since, and they kind of, for me personally, descended into a little bit of pretentiousness, and I went a bit lukewarm on him, to be honest. I always felt he's clearly someone who's got a talent. He knows how to get the best out of actors and things like that. But a few of his more artistic leanings got a little bit pretentious for me, and like I say, I got switched up. But after the buzz this film was getting, I thought, I'll go and watch it out. I'll go and watch it. I'll check it out. I like the actors involved. I watched it, and I was gripped from start to finish. It's an emotional roller coaster. I can't imagine going through a divorce. Clearly, this film comes from a very personal place. From someone who's experienced that in some way. It's nail biting, not in a thriller kind of way, but just the fact that these people feel so real. The portraits that are depicted of these two very real individuals, this man and this woman, played by Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver, it just feels so real and raw, and it makes you angry at times. It makes you concerned. You also delight in some of their behaviour at times. There's one particular moment that I was literally in tears of laughter. A trick involving a knife that Adam Driver's character does. It just came out of nowhere, and I was just in stitches. But the whole film, I felt every emotion. That's the thing, and that's why this film gets so high. For me, the thing I love about cinema is that it makes me feel. It gives me all those different emotions, like a roller coaster ride. And this film did that. I felt everything at various points in this film. I thought it was brilliantly done. Marriage Story at number 4. Number 3 for me is The Irishman. Martin Scorsese proving, for me at any rate, that he just gets better and better. I'm not as big a fan of Scorsese as a lot of people. I find a lot of his earlier work to be highly overrated. Mean Streets, His first film, which I'm forgetting the name of, Who's That Knocking on My Door, I think it's called. Yeah, I really didn't like that one. Even Taxi Driver, which I like, I still, it's a very well made film, it's really good. I still find to be a bit overrated. So yeah, a lot of films in his early career, I'm like, they're good, they're well made, but a little bit hyped up maybe. His latter career, his last 10 years, if I was to make a top 5 Scorsese films, maybe all 5, certainly 3 out of the top 5 would be from the last 10 years. I just think as he's maturing, he's just getting better. And The Irishman is, it's essentially another kind of run at the Goodfellas kind of mould, but for me, better. There's a bit more maturity to it, a bit more heart, dare I say. If Goodfellas kind of looked at the more glamorous side of being a gangster, somebody wanting to be a gangster and all that, chasing that dream. This is more about someone falling into it really and not getting out, and seemingly not wanting to get out, and not even minding that it's destroying his life really. It's an impressive character study. It's long. I had to watch it over 2 nights, but I was gripped and I didn't want to stop it. When I got 2 hours in, it was very late, but I knew I had to go bed. I had to stop it and come back to it the following night, and I didn't want to. I wanted to carry on because I was just so engrossed in these characters. Great job from everyone involved and really great performances across the board. And number 2 for me is 1917, written and directed by Sam Mendes, based on stories he was told from one of his relatives who had served in the First World War. Wow, man. Roger Deakins should get another Oscar this year for his cinematography here, if there's any justice in the world. Brilliant job. Really brilliant job from everyone involved. It's all made to look like 2 shots. People keep saying 1 shot, but it's halfway through the film, a character gets knocked out, and when he wakes up, some hours have passed. So there is that passage of time there. It is 2 shots, but it's done like 2 very long shots, which when you're doing some kind of drama or whatever, while still impressive, it's not that hard to imagine you can put the pieces into place. But when you've got effects work, tons of effects work, when you've got planes falling out the sky, when you've got battlefields and explosions and guns going off, and you're following these people through this stuff, to do it all couple of continuous takes, it's exceedingly impressive. It really is. And it doesn't just feel like an exercise in, oh, look how flashy I can be as a director. What it does is it keeps you with this main character. You're with him every step of the way, and you're not getting out. You can't cut to something else and cover over the cracks with a different take. Because it's all as this one take, you're stuck with this guy. So whatever he's going through, you're going through. It keeps you there. It keeps you present. It's a brilliant use of that whole one take kind of school of filmmaking. The film itself is brilliant. It's gripping. It's a great character study. It's another film as well as with Parasite that's bookended. So you essentially finish the film where you began, and what that says is that while the character has changed, the world around him hasn't. It's a brilliant film. Absolutely loved it. Sam Mendes cementing his name, I think, as one of my favourite directors. Number 2 choice. I think that it was probably obvious to anyone who's a regular viewer on my channel, who knows me, who can see the Batman stuff in the background. Joker is my number 1 choice. This is a film that, when it was announced, I was worried. I thought this is a bad idea. This is DC grasping at straws because of all the flack they were getting at the time, and they've just had Suicide Squad, so that just only added to the horror of making this creative decision. But then Joaquin Phoenix was on board, and that gave me a little bit of hope, because he doesn't tend to sign on to things that don't have some kind of substance to them. And then trailer came out, stuff, more info started coming out, I started getting more hopeful, and I watched the film and I was just hooked. I absolutely loved this film. I went to see it 3 times at the cinema. I just think it's a brilliant character study, a brilliant commentary on modern society and the ignorance of people on the fringes and the excuses we make to avoid acknowledging that ignorance. I think it's a brilliant film. It looks beautiful. The cinematography is great. The worst criticism I think that can be leveled at it is that it is King of Comedy and Taxi Driver meshed together. Well, okay, they're 2 classics, so what's your point? It's a brilliant film. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything recycles something in some way, but this does it to perfection. It's absolutely brilliant. It's my favourite film of the year, and it's, for my money, obviously, the best of the Best Picture nominees for 2020. Will it win? I hope so, but I don't know. Parasite is getting quite a lot of buzz, and that Letterboxd score isn't something that can be shaken away too easily. So yeah, Joker for me is number 1. But what about you guys? How would you rank the 9 Best Picture nominees of this year? Do leave your comments down below. Let me know your thoughts about my choices. Thanks for watching this video, and until next time, cracking.